Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zeng here today, and I'm going to bring you an analysis of the team that I used to get first on Pokemon X and Y rated, doubles rated Battle Spot. If you take a look here, I had a rating of 1861 in America, good for first place on November 6, 2013. Since then, I've gained a couple of points, but fell down to second place in America, based off the rankings that were updated just a bit earlier today. Before we get started, you should know that Battle Spot is a great way to compete against all other players around the world. It's a great form of practice, and even though the official Pokemon Company hasn't released its rules for VGC yet, it's a great way to just get a feel of what the game is like, especially since we've moved on to Generation 6 with new Pokemon, new moves, etc. While, like I just said, since Pokemon hasn't actually released its rule set for its competitive tournaments, which I frequently attend and compete in, I decided I just wanted to get a team together and bring something to test out what the new Pokemon were like and to get a feel of what doubles was like in this generation. So I played a bunch of games after I bought the game right away, and I ended up, doing pretty well in rated doubles. Played, I think, around 50 to 60 games before I hit that number one spot, and since then I've played a couple of more using new Pokemon and new things. But I'm just going to give you a rundown of what my team looked like back then. So if we take a look here, I have it built on Showdown. The first Pokemon that we see is Gyarados. Gyarados has been a staple since Generation 1, always been a great Pokemon, and if we take a look at its item, it does have that Mega Stone. It also has Intimidate ability, Waterfall, Earthquake, Taunt, Protect, and the EV spread is 204 HP attack EVs, 204 HP EVs, 252 attack EVs, and 52 speed EVs with Adamant Nature. Now let me just give you a rundown of why I've run this Gyarados. Gyarados I think is a really great Pokemon, and Intimidate is such a great ability because there's so many physical Pokemon in the current state of the format. The moveset is pretty simple. Waterfall is obviously a staple on Gyarados. Earthquake is interesting. I mainly use it because once Gyarados Mega evolves, it gets the ability Mold Breaker, so it can hit stuff that levitates, like Rotom Wash. It also just gives really nice coverage and it allows me to hit a lot of different things. Taunt is to shut down, excuse me, common Trick Room setups, which people try using, I'm not a big fan of, but is still relatively common. Protect, obviously, in doubles to avoid any common hits, avoid Gyarados from getting hit by anything really powerful, for example, a Thunderbolt from Rotom Wash. If you look at the EV spread, Adamant Nature and 252 attack EVs to maximize its, obviously, offensive potential. And then I wanted to look at speed EVs. I invested 52 speed EVs because Rotom Wash is a big threat to Gyarados, obviously, because it gets Thunderbolt. So I looked at what Rotom Wash, speeds commonly are, and I said, okay, I probably want to outspeed Rotom Wash just by a bit so I can say Mega Evolve and Earthquake instead of fainting from a Thunderbolt right away. So Rotom Wash hits 106 speed when it's Modest Nature or a Neutral Nature with 0 speed EVs. So I put enough just to outspeed it by 2, not 1 in case, some Rotoms like to invest a bit of speed to speed creep. So I put 2 to ensure that I can outspeed any Rotoms who decided not to put any speed investment. The rest of the EVs went into HP, and thus goes with the Gyarados. Mega Gyarados operates pretty much the same. You want to Mega Evolve when you think, for example, Rotom Wash is coming, but the Intimidate ability on normal Gyarados is really nice. If we take a look at the second Pokemon, we go into Gengar, which is also one of the most hyped Mega Pokemon in Generation 6. Like I said, it has the Mega ability, Mega item, excuse me. Ability is Levitate, and its moveset is Sludge Bomb, Shadow Ball, Substitute, and Protect. Pretty standard. Sludge Bomb and Shadow Ball obviously both get stabbed from Gengar. Great attacks. Substitute is to prevent moves from, say, Sucker Punch, which can hit Gengar for a lot of damage, and to play mind games with your opponent and try to set up a substitute when your opponent doesn't know what you're going to do. Protect, once again, is self-explanatory, and if you look at the moveset, it's just what you'd expect from a Gengar. Max speed EVs, max special attack EVs, and 4 HP EVs, though the 4 is really, it doesn't really matter. Mega Gengar, obviously, very powerful as well because it gets even a higher special attack and speed, and it gets the interesting ability, which is Shadow Tag. I really like Mega Gengar, but the issue is it's really frail, so you'd have to bring it when you know you could get a KO with it, because otherwise it's just going to faint to an attack. As you can see, this team actually runs 3 Mega Pokemon, the third one is Scizor, which I'll go into later, so this team really depends on, bring the right Pokemon and bring Mega Evolving at the right time. If we go into the third Pokemon, we see Scrafty. Scrafty, also a really great Pokemon, was used a lot in VGC in the past few years, and just really great. It gets, mainly because it gets the ability Intimidate. Like I said about Gyarados, Intimidate is really good because the format revolves around so many physical sweepers, so you can switch back in and out to reduce their attack. Triple Berry is for obviously fighting attacks, which are still pretty prevalent in the format. If we look at its moveset, it gets Fake Out, Quick Guard, Drain Punch, and Crunch. Fake Out obviously to flinch your opponent on the first turn and allow for any of its Scrafty's partners to set up with an attack. Drain Punch and Crunch are both stab attacks, are both really powerful. And Quick Guard is a really interesting option. Quick Guard is really great in Generation 6 because you can use it consecutively without failing, and it prevents moves such as Fake Out, priority moves such as Fake Out, Bullet Punch, Sucker Punch, and most interestingly enough, Prankster attacks. So let's say Meowstic and Klefki can't spam Thunder Wave and Swagger everywhere because Quick Guard will go before it and prevent that. Really great move, one of my favorite moves of Generation 6, and it was really great like Game Freak increased its potential because it really wasn't used before. If you take a look at its EV spread, runs max HP EVs, 180 attack EVs, 64 special defense EVs, 12 speed EVs, and a careful nature. So this Scrafty is a bit more bulky than most. Some people like to put speed in their Scrafty and invest in more of the offensive side, while I took a bit less out of attack and run basically no speed. Scrafty is a really bulky Pokemon in general, if you look at that base special defense and defense. And I think one of the great reasons is, unlike Hitmontop, which is more frail, you can really switch it in back and forth, and it won't die to too many things. HP is pretty self-explanatory. You obviously want it to survive for as long as possible. And I really took this EV spread from, actually, my brother, Brendan, who gave it to me, and he used this back last year in VGC 2013 in 5th generation. And I believe this spread was able to survive a Dragon Gem Draco Meteor from Latios, so pretty much survives all attacks on the special spectrum. So that explains the HP and special defense. I just wanted some speed to outspeed any other Scrafties that had no speed investment, and the rest went into attack. So still a very powerful sweeper, but obviously with the careful nature and the bulk, it'll be doing less damage but surviving more attacks. If we go on to the next Pokemon, we see Garchomp, which is also one of the most common Pokemon since 4th generation. Focus Sash, Sandveil, Dragonclaw, Earthquake, Swords Dance, Protect, and as you'd expect from a Pokemon such as Garchomp, Jolly Nature, Max Speed, Max Attack, and 4 HP EVs. Now, you may notice I actually don't have a Megastone on Garchomp. The reasoning for that is I actually like Focus Sash on my Garchomp more because I already have 3 Mega Pokemon that I invested heavily in. Focus Sash is really nice on Garchomp because it allows it to take any attack, and if you notice, it has Swords Dance, so it can set up Swords Dance and sweep from there. Garchomp is relatively fast, so faster than most things, but obviously there's still Pokemon in the format that outspeed it, so you have to be careful of that. Dragonclaw and Earthquake are obviously Garchomp's main means of attacking, Swords Dance to boost its attack as I previously mentioned, and Protect once again because it's so common in doubles. The EVs are also self-explanatory. There's not very much to it. I think Garchomp is a really nice utility Pokemon, and what I mean by that is you can just slap it onto any team right now in doubles, and it'll do a lot. Obviously, Garchomp lost popularity in VGC 2013 because Landorus Therian came into play, but since Landorus Therian is not, you can't get it in-game right now, I decided to go with Garchomp, and it's been working really well. You obviously have to be careful of Fairy types, though, because I don't run an attack such as Iron Head or Poison Jab to hit them for super effective, so that's what the rest of the team is for. And speaking of Fairy types, this guy is my way of beating all of them, Scizor. Mega Scizor, as you'll notice with the Mega Stone, is awesome. I love Scizor. Scizor has been a staple to all my teams since 2012 in VGC, and he is awesome. Technician ability, Swords Dance, Bullet Punch, X Scissor instead of Bug Bite since you can't get Bug Bite in game right now, and Protect. With the EV spread of 172 HP EVs, 252 attack EVs, and 84 speed EVs. Now, the spread is, as you'll notice, also pretty bulky, runs some speed. I took it from my nationals team, which I won with back in 2012, and the whole reasoning behind this spread is, at the time I was able to live a Fight Gem close combat from Hitmontop, which was one of the more powerful physical attacks, and I have enough speed EVs to outspeed Pokemon such as Politoed, Hitmontop, and Metagross, which obviously aren't as common anymore since we are in a new format, but are still, strong Pokemon. And this is what I think the team really revolved around, getting Scizor in, Mega Evolving, Swords Dancing, and then sweeping after there. Now, the thing about Scizor in this generation is you lose Steel Gem and Bug Gem, which were, two of the best items on Scizor back in 2012 and 2013, but the item does give it a relatively nice boost because your base attack increases, and Once you get a Sword Stance up with that Mega Evolution up, you won't be missing any KOs, and you'll be able to produce constant damage turn after turn. So what the team really revolved around was getting Scizor in a safe place, getting a Sword Stance up, and really winning the game from there. It's really nice because it hits fairy types are super effective too with Bullet Punch, and it has nice coverage, so definitely one of my favorite Pokemon. And finally, we get to Rotom Wash, which is, I think, a staple in this format. I actually left out the EVs here, but if you take a look, it has Citrus Nature, Levitate ability, Will-O-Wisp, Hydro Pump, Thunderbolt, Light Screen, and its EV should be 252 attack, 140 special defense, and 116 special attack. Rotom was a staple to my Worlds team, which I got third at this past summer in Vancouver. Rotom is fantastic. Its typing is just out of the world, and even though it only has a low base 50 HP, if you look at its natural defense, special attack, and special defense, it's really good. And with that typing and its moveset, I think it's probably one of, if not the best Pokemon in Generation 6 right now. If you look at its moveset, it's really diverse. You get Will-O-Wisp and Thunderbolt as your main means of stab, obviously. Hydro Pump and Thunderbolt, excuse me. And Will-O-Wisp is your way to burn all the physical sweepers, which has been a really common move, and its accuracy actually increased from 75 to 85, which is huge, and now it's much harder to hit a Will-O-Wisp, but I'm somehow going to manage to miss 5 in a row like I did at Worlds this year. And finally, Light Screen as the last move, just to get both sides of the spectrum, so you're shutting down physical sweepers, but also shutting down special sweepers. The moveset the EV spread once again was inspired by 2012 and 2013. It was made to live a Life Orb Draco Meteor from Latios, and since gems aren't in the format right now, this Rotom can pretty much live any special attack. The rest go into special attack EVs to maximize your damage, and with the Modest Nature, it actually does a really nice amount overall. To talk about team synergy for a bit, I think Scrafty was definitely my #1 lead. Scrafty and Rotom, I think, was the best lead to go with because it really beats anything. You can get a Fake Out and start burning or light screening right away, and I generally tend to have one of the Megas, obviously, Scizor, or Gyarados, or Gengar, and the last one would go between either Garchomp or Gyarados. Gyarados because it's so good without the Mega Evolution. Gengar I didn't like as much without the Mega Evolution because, sure, it's really nice, but if you take a look, base 130 special attack with 2 average moves won't be really netting you any KOs, especially since it's not bulky, whereas Gyarados is bulky enough because it has Intimidate and pretty nice defensive stats, so it could both dish out damage and survive attacks. If you want to try this team out, I would definitely build it in-game. I don't think it's perfect, and I've made a lot of additions to it since then to my team. I think there's some notable flaws, but I like it because you have the ability to Fake Out, you have the ability to set up, say, Sword Stance with Garchomp and Scizor, you can burn things with Rotom, substitute with Gengar, taunt with Gyarados, so it covers its bases. Overall, I think this team was pretty nice. Obviously, since VGC rules aren't actually released yet, we won't know, what we'll be able to use and we won't be able to use. But this Pokemon, all the Pokemon are in the Kalos deck, so if the format, which is rumored to be Kalos decks only, actually turns out to be that, you'll be able to bring this team to a tournament if you're interested. If you have any questions about the team or comments, please let me know in the comments below. I'm really interested in hearing what you guys have to say. Other than that, thanks for watching. See you next time.